We have a huge NHL trade rumor that could see the Calgary Flames put a huge offer on the table for Jack Eichel that could include Matthew Tkachuk. We'll discuss that as well as the rumored latest offer from the Vegas Golden Knights. We also have some other news items today, including a fine for PK Subban. We have a removal from the Stanley Cup regarding the Blackhawks scandal. Some new players with COVID, including Sidney Crosby. All that and more coming up next. So welcome back to another video here at Top Shelf Hockey. As I mentioned, we have some huge trade rumors we're going to talk about, but before we get to that, we have a few other smaller news items to talk about here quickly. First, we have a quick update from the NHL waiver wire. The New Jersey Devils have placed goaltender Scott Wedgwood on waivers for the purpose of being assigned to the minors. Obviously, they're getting healthier goaltending back between Bernier and Blackwood, so he can be designated down to the minors. You never know, though. He could be a potential claim. He has been one of those goalies that's bounced around a little bit before, so we'll see tomorrow afternoon if he indeed does clear. We get a little bit more clarity as well on the Vitaly Kravtsov situation with the New York Rangers. Yesterday we had reported on the news that he had been loaned to the Tractor KHL team. Now we have a little bit more clarity that there is a possibility he could return to the Rangers this season. Obviously, the way the calendar works in both leagues, the KHL season is usually always done well ahead of the NHL, so they could possibly return Kravtsov to North America to rejoin the Rangers for the tail end of the season. And it's also being reported by Elliot Friedman and I believe a few others as well that apparently there's been some discussions between Kravtsov's camp and the Rangers. They feel it's in his best interest right now to play, and playing over there is best for him, and that there is a chance, I don't know how much of a chance, but there is a chance that he may agree to return to the Rangers instead of requesting a trade. So we know that he and his agent had put a trade request through. They want it to be moved to another team, and there's still a chance that could happen, I guess, but there's also a chance that he could end up kind of making amends and giving it another chance. So we'll see where that goes, but he's going to spend at least a decent amount of time over in the KHL this season. We have a fine for PK Subban. Now, this comes off another incident, which is basically a slew foot. He's been fined for a dangerous trip, is what they called it, but he's been fined $15,000, which is a heftier amount of money. But PK Subban, I'm not really sure what he's been up to or why this has been happening, but this is like the third time this year already, and we're only barely a month into the season, not even a full month yet, where he's had these similar type situations. Now, this one's on the Anaheim Ducks center Trevor Zegras, but there was two other scenarios that's happened here in the past couple of weeks where they were almost identical plays. The first one was on Ryan Reeves of the New York Rangers. I don't know how he keeps getting away with this, and maybe this fine's more substantial because they've seen it before, but there was reports that he was going to have a hearing, but then they already announced the fine, so obviously it didn't go very far, but this is something that he needs to cut out of his game. I really don't know what's going on with him. He doesn't really have a history of being caught for many dirty plays, but this year has not been good for PK already. He's certainly been caught with the slew foot on a number of occasions, and that certainly needs to go. It's dangerous, it's reckless, and there's just no need of it. Plain and simple. Now, we also got news today the Penguins have been hit with the COVID situation again. This time, Captain Sidney Crosby has been positive for COVID, and apparently he's also showing symptoms. At this point, they appear to be mild. They also have defenseman Brian Dumoulin, who's also an important piece back there on their blue line, that he apparently is COVID positive as well. So they're going to be out for some time. Hopefully things don't get too bad and they manage the virus and don't have any severe symptoms. But so we'll certainly hope for the best in that regard. The Nashville Predators also announced today that they're going to be retiring goaltender Pekka Rinne's number later this year. So Rinne, obviously, their greatest goaltender in franchise history, was one of their best players they've had since they've been a team in Nashville. So he will be honored later on down the season here. And of course, some positive news coming in connection to the Blackhawks scandal. The video coach at the center of this Blackhawks situation, Brad Aldrich, his name has been officially removed from the Stanley Cup. So apparently they were in the midst of getting all the new names from the last team that won on the Cup just here in the last couple days. So they were able to X out Aldrich. So that is completely done now. His name is no longer reflecting on there, which is certainly nice. I'd like to see them get the Stanley Cup ring back that they gave him as well. I'm not sure if they're going to pursue that or not at this time, but certainly would be nice to see. He doesn't deserve to have any kind of recognition and connection to that at all after what he's done here. Now, before we jump into the trade rumors on the Eichel situation, I do need to pause for a quick second and acknowledge our channel sponsor, Manscaped. Top Shelf Hockey is proud to be sponsored by Manscaped. And guess what? Hockey fans are buzzing because hockey is back. Want to know what else is buzzing? The Lawnmower 4.0 from our friends at Manscaped, who are the global leaders in male grooming, trusted by over 2 million men worldwide. I highly recommend the Performance Package 4.0, which includes their new state-of-the-art Lawnmower 4.0, as well as some other great features. The lawnmower itself has a 7,000 RPM motor, a new multifunction switch that can engage as a travel lock, gives you the ability to turn on an LED spotlight as well for a more precise shave. Also, as I've mentioned on numerous occasions before, Manscaped is about much more than just a trimmer. They have everything, all aspects covered in male grooming, including some great formulations like their brand new ultra premium body wash to keep you smelling great all day long. It's certainly a big hit here. I absolutely love it. They also have other exfoliators and gels to keep all aspects of your grooming needs covered. I highly recommend you check out manscaped.com. Use promo code TSH for 20% off and free shipping. That's 20% off and free shipping at manscaped.com using promo code TSH. Very much for watching that promotional content. I do greatly appreciate it. Now, we get a lot of updates here in the last little bit on this Eichel situation. Now, first up, I'm going to give you a tweet here from John Vogel, who's the beat writer for The Athletic for the Sabres. He put out there that he's getting word that the Sabres are feeling an extra added pressure to get a deal done today, and it's not pressure from a grievance. So I'm not really sure what exactly the pressure would be from. Clearly, they're getting increased offers is what we're going to talk about if there's truth to these rumors. But, we'll see if this actually goes down or how quickly it goes down. We've had situations before things that were being reported as being extremely close, but have not happened. I know there's obviously a lot of people that are getting tired of talking about it, which I completely understand. It's at this point, they need to get a deal done, which is best for the player, all teams involved, just to be able to move on here. But, we even had reports just a few days ago saying they were like, basically, to use a football analogy, they were at the 1 yard line. But then things, seem to have gone cold again. Now, the big rumor that came out today was from Kevin Weeks of ESPN and NHL Network, which we'll talk about in a second. But there was information out yesterday from the Cold Stove podcast where they've indicated that there was, and their information has been pretty reliable before, just in case you're not familiar with them. But essentially, they had the Vegas offer that they were discussing. And this offer is kind of like a 3-team trade. So as we know, Eichel makes a lot of money, $10 million. Vegas, like many teams, are tight against the cap. So they were trying to have a third team involved in order to retain some money and get something extra for their efforts for doing that. All the problem is Eichel still has 5 years left on his contract. So for a team to retain salary on that as a third-party broker, that's not going to come cheap because we're talking about 5 years here. This isn't like a deadline deal where they hold some money for you for a few months. Like, completely different scenario. So this 3-team trade would involve the Vegas Golden Knights, of course, the Buffalo Sabres, and Columbus being that third-team broker. So essentially, Jack Eichel goes to the Vegas Golden Knights. The Columbus Blue Jackets obviously retain part of his salary. So essentially, Eichel goes from Buffalo to Columbus. They retain some salary and then ship him off to Vegas. For Columbus retaining that salary, they're going to get a very high draft pick from Vegas. It's believed that it could have been even a first rounder, maybe a second, but probably a first. So Vegas might really be giving up a lot here to get this done if they were to be successful. The haul going to the Sabres would include from Vegas top prospect Peyton Krebs, Alex Tuck, who of course is on long-term injury reserve, won't be back for a little while, but he should be back probably around, I believe, January, is what he's looking at for a return. They get a first-round pick, a prospect, at least one prospect, and Jonas Korpisalo, who would come through the Columbus side of the deal. So they would get themselves a good goaltender, a good forward, a good prospect in Krebs, a first-rounder, and a prospect. I mean, that's not a bad offer, but when we talk about the Flames offer, to me, I think Calgary would kind of be the contender here, the front runner, based on the offer that just came out from Kevin Weeks. So in case you haven't seen it, here's the details that Kevin Weeks put out there. He said that people have been asking him when it comes to the Flames. Obviously, the Flames have been mentioned by numerous sources as being the other team here, along with Vegas, the last two teams standing, the last one. So what will their offer be? And he says they have Matthew Tkachuk on the table as well as an upcoming first-round pick. So we're probably looking at a 2022 first-rounder. And it also has a former first-round pick. So somebody that's also on our roster that's a former first-round pick. And two prospects on top of that. So who do they have that could be a former first-round pick? Well, you're looking at the more recent ones. You get Connor Zary. Zary's a good-looking prospect. You get Matthew Coronado. There's Jacob Peltier. Defenseman Juuso Välimäki's also a former first-round pick. I know Dylan Dubé, even though he didn't come up in this tweet from Weeks, apparently has been linked as well. I'm not really sure. There's nothing mentioned here, but that name has been out there from the Flames rumored offer previously. So I don't know. Obviously, this is not finalized either, right? So you got to remember that. But, I guess you got to be thinking from the Flames side of it, why would they trade Matthew Tkachuk? Now, some people are on the belief that he's likely going to be their next future captain here and could be the piece to build around. And if you look at their roster and how it's constructed, it makes a lot of sense. I mean, they have Sean Monahan, they have Johnny Gaudreau. Both players are, been a big part of their past. They might be a big part of their future, depending on how things go. I think it's fair to say they're having a decent start to the year this year compared to how things have gone the last year or two. But, they're not as young as Tkachuk either. They're not certainly old, but Tkachuk certainly has a little bit more youth on his side in that regard. You get Elias Lindholm. He's obviously a higher-end player for them too. But, would trading Tkachuk for Eichel make them better? I mean, it certainly creates a different strength at a different position, but it's tough to say, right? So, who all could be involved here to go to Calgary? Like one of those prospects, I'm not sure which one they would zone in on. My gut says probably Zary would be the one. Probably not Välimäki. Maybe Peltier, but I think Zary to me would be the one that the Sabres would zone in on. So if you get Connor Zary, Matthew Tkachuk, a first-round pick, and then two other prospects that maybe aren't quite as high-end prospects, that's a pretty darn good haul. Now, from the Calgary side of it, though, I guess the part of it that seems confusing is why wouldn't they trade Monahan or Gaudreau instead of Tkachuk? I mean, obviously, you got to look at what the Sabres are going to want, but just in a separate, if you're looking at making changes, if you're Calgary, why would it be this? And the only thing I could come up with for Tkachuk is that he's in the final year of his deal. He's a pending restricted free agent. He's making $9 million this year, so they owe him a hefty qualifying offer. He just did a 3-year bridge deal after his 3-year entry-level deal. There is a chance that they may be worried about his long-term future in Calgary. I mean, he could possibly go through salary arbitration if he's still with the team and take a 1-year deal and go right to UFA status. That's the danger when you do these bridge deals the way that you do. So the player has the leverage in this case because they're owed a big qualifying offer. So they're getting paid handsomely. It doesn't matter if it's short-term or long-term, whatever contract works out, they're getting a big salary. So they have that to fall back on no matter what. Obviously, they also have that if you don't give me the money I'm looking for to commit longer term, then I can take the short-term deal, walk myself to UFA status, and I can get somebody else to pay me that money. So the player certainly has tons of leverage. We just learned, we didn't just learn, but we just kind of refamiliarized ourselves with the fact that the Tkachuk clan are really tough negotiators. The Sens had a hard time, long, hard battle getting the deal done for Brady. Of course, that's done now. He signed long-term. Could the Flames run into a hard time with Matthew? There's been a lot of talk about that as well. As much as Matthew Tkachuk could be your future captain and a great leader, I guess if you're getting Eichel back, if he proves to be that top 5 center in the NHL that he was projected to be and really has played like in the past, it's kind of to me it's more of a lateral move. But if I'm Buffalo and of all these offers we've heard rumors about, this sounds pretty darn intriguing. I think I'm probably taking that deal. It's also been reported that both the Flames and the Golden Knights are fine with him having the surgery that he wants, the disc replacement. And if they get this deal done pronto here, like it's being talked about now, then he would have time to make it back probably for February. He may not be able to play in the Olympics. That's a possibility that it may not happen for him. But even if it doesn't, he could use the Olympic break to kind of complete his recovery and be ready to go when his schedule resumes after. So it still gives him a big chunk of the time to play this year. Now, of course, the Calgary Flames have actually had a pretty decent start. Tkachuk and his teammates have done well. If they trade Tkachuk out and then don't have Eichel till later in the year, that's going to have a big impact on about 3 months of their schedule. So I have to wonder how that would affect the team in the short term while they get to the point that Eichel's healthy and can come back. So we will see where this goes, but this is a big rumor from a pretty reliable source in Kevin Weeks. And of course, like I said, with John Vogel saying that there's pressure to get a deal done today, will we actually have this finalized and have a deal to discuss? We'll see where it goes, and I'll be back with another video, of course, if anything big goes down. So let me know your thoughts on this down in the comments. We'll discuss further. If you're new to this channel, make sure you subscribe and stick around. We'll keep you up to date with all the latest news, rumors, and analysis on all 32 NHL teams. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you next time.